Hello, everybody, and welcome back to This Is the Year, the Swiss-based AI podcast. And in today's episode, just as an outline, what we are going to cover in the next few minutes is that basically AI development, and especially if you have an agency, is most likely 95% software engineering and 5% AI components. So we're really deep diving into these 95%, but at the same time, we're also deconstructing what these 5% even entail to be building great agentic AI solutions, be it as an AI agency or as a corporate person developing on artificial intelligence. We also deep dive in this episode, as always, into the latest model releases, such as, for example, the one from Meta. We deep dive into robotics, and we have a little bit of a story prepared for you from one of the actual co-hosts, Bene, that has a pretty much a big issue in Brazil in terms of his car breaking down. But we tried that to basically be building on this story and segue into building, once again, AI solutions. Stay tuned and let's get started with episode 14. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing? Maybe first to you, Joao. How's been the time ever since we last shot?
I've been time to research things and then see what's happening in the world without having the pressure to do the 9 to 5. But it's been very interesting to see what's going on, and we're gonna get into that pretty soon. But I think like the most, the one that goes into an interesting plot arc, I think it's Bene. He was talking about like his car broke down in the middle of nowhere. But I think that's just the things that happen when you're traveling abroad. So Bene, tell us, what have you been up to? What's been going on?
So the traveling has been awesome, but I have been having some issues with the car. I had to go to the agency 3 times. And even before that, I rented the car through a website, and basically even their customer support was not good because every time I messaged them, sometimes for them to go to the human, it would take 20 minutes for a human to go into the conversation, or even 2, 3, 4 hours. And after that time, normally I would just forget the chat. And that's like so much time.
If you're stuck in the middle of the road, I guess that's not going to be a great position to be in for a few hours.
That was the part before. Now with the car. So basically I was on the road going to a thermal fountains area. And it was yesterday. And in the beginning, I was not that cheerful, but I was like, okay, I'm on vacation. I need to push through because I've been traveling a lot by car. This last week, I did around 20 hours driving one way and then coming back. So 10 hours going and 10 hours coming back. And then on Wednesday, I was resting. And yesterday, I was like, okay, and now it's a shorter trip, 2 hours trip. So after around 70 kilometers, I started to feel the car. Okay, something is not right. It's not the road. The road is very clean and it's making a weird noise and the car is like not good. I was with my aunt. I was like, weird noise, no? She was like, yeah, I think the the tire is flat. I was like, okay, pull to the side of the road. I don't know, maybe I can even share a picture. Or I can share with you, Cyril, and then you can add here. I was like, fuck. It's completely damaged the tire, and I was like, okay, now what? I need to change the tire, and also I will call the support. I called the support, and they were like, I messaged them, and they took a while to reply. And I was talking to them, and there was not much. The cell reception was not that good, but people on the chat was while talking to them, they were re-asking a lot of informations, and they were taking some time. And with an AI solution for the voice and even for the chat, it would be so much faster for a person who is in distress to solve that. Because imagine you're in distress in this situation like that, you want fast support, and AI can provide you that. You don't have to be in the queue or waiting for them to collect information, because sometimes they're on the chat, they're like asking something. And the experience that I had on the chat solutions were not great, because I already interacted with the support before, and then I sent all the message in the beginning of the chat, like, hey, this is my data that normally you ask, this is the problem. And then she was like, okay, what's the problem? Okay, can you give me this information?
I think they have to follow a certain script. Like they
Yeah,
have
yeah,
heard reached about it.
and with AI, you don't have that. AI can collect everything, and it's just a matter of prompting and everything, and he can see the history, and it's faster, and you're not paying such amount of money for a human because AI is cheaper, faster, and more efficient.
But for the audience, like Ben is just not just trying to replace every Brazilian possible in their jobs, but we did send him off with a challenge, which was he goes to Brazil. His job, his mission was to look at things and see where AI could be integrated. And I think this like agent support, customer support, it's kind of like one of the hot topics in the world, but also in Brazil. But Bene, in Switzerland, like in like a very let's say industrialized setting or industry, you have everything already in software. A lot of different systems, a lot of documentation. Do you think in Brazil, like you could have an easy AI integration with just plug and play and have things going, or are there more steps for a company that has a very low tech stack or non-existing tech stack?
So regarding that part, I was talking with someone close they are the tech lead in the director in the company. And basically, he was saying, for instance, for support, there's 2 people allocated and they spend around 120 hours per month. And the time, I will get there, and the time to reply is around half an hour, 1 hour, and they're very efficient. Normally, the support here takes 4 hours, and it's usual, and people are used to that. 3 to 4 hours. And I was like, okay, you know that this can be best you invest a bit with software engineering, because AI is 95 software engineering and 5% AI. And also, of course, the 5% AI helps the software engineers to speed up the work, but the product itself, it's mostly software engineering. And I started to do a bit of consulting with him. I was like, okay, I would say initial step, because how much that time that I said was how much time do you spend with easy questions that you can answer? And he was like 120 hours per month, 2 people. I was like, okay, do you have all the information documented to help? He was like, no, we are actually doing some videos for that. I was like, great, you can do the videos. We can have an AI get the videos, get the description. So using AI to speed up even the gathering of the documentation. So answering your question is not plug and play, still have some work on structuring the data to provide a solution with a RAG system, and have that initial setup, initial agent that would cut a lot of time from people to do more efficient things, and would help make a more satisfied customer because they would have faster answers. And then another step later on would be to integrate, because in this company they sell CRM systems, so they have control on this, and they have a lot of, let's say, web integrations for chat solutions. And with that, again, it would be an extra step to integrate an agent to even solve the customer's problems straight away out of the box without having to put people to troubleshoot issues that are already detected and known. So there's a lot of things to do, but it's such a joyful adventure for me, because of course I love what I do, and would help a lot of people, and the world would be a bit chiller and faster, and people wouldn't be stuck with boring things.
Yeah, I mean, so to add agents, and we want to add agents, I think the client and the customer gets like a better experience. To have agents solving your problems, you need documentation. But even creating that documentation or improving that documentation, you could use AI. You could use LLMs to speed up the process and make it so much easier for you. I think you said that it's been in my experience too. Sometimes the support happens through WhatsApp. So there's no specific app, no specific platform. It's just a WhatsApp number you call a certain channel. You could get information from WhatsApp, and you could create documentation. Like you could cluster some conversations together, like by topic, and see, because a lot of the problems are the same, just slightly variations of the same problem. And you could have those groups of conversations, and you create documentation from that, because LLM can see what happened, can see how it was solved, and basically generate the script for you. So later, when LLMs trying to answer the questions, it already knows how to go about it, right?
Yes, I'm actually curious because I did provide some architecture. We're doing here a small business case, a small architecture. I even put the word out like 5% AI and 95% engineering. And this is something that we were discussing a bit before the shooting, the three of us, and Cyril brought this up. It was like, yeah, actually, that's it. I did provide some architecture, and I would like to see if yours match so I can disagree.
His whole goal is not to enjoy life, but to disagree with me as much as possible.
That's
I
usually the
understand
way
that.
he splits the work. I think it's a great segue into probably the first, again, larger topic, right? I mean, usually most people think AI just equals, well, prompting and just take the models and spend a few minutes on preparing them. But at the end of the day, it's really the integration, such as software architectural elements, system design, and reliability engineering that really makes these solutions actually corporate ready. Maybe back to you, Ben, very, very quickly. Like, where would you be starting maybe implementing such a design? Is it mostly just on the documents first internally that the company needs to be getting ready, or any other tasks like human in the loop escalation? Like, where would you be starting first?
First, I would again go discuss with the lead to see the vision and what they want to design the architecture. So to identify the pains. In this case, I identified the pain that they don't have documentation. And for this solution to work, we do need documentation. So I would see where we could speed up. And as João mentioned, we could pick up and track the past conversation history to generate some of the documentation. And then I would put some validator, human in the loop, to check that. And while that's doing, so that can be done parallelly, that doesn't necessarily need my work. It's on the company side. I could start structuring, probably putting things, preparing the cloud solution for things to be running on the cloud or even on-prem, not the inference, because the inference can be on-prem, but depending on the model you want to use, better not to. And then I would, after the model, the architecture, I would start doing the integration. And in this scenario, with WhatsApp, so the front end, it wouldn't be something that I wouldn't need to worry so much about it. I would just focus on the developing on the agent itself. So probably a concierge functionality to do some interaction with the customers, identifying if it's a small problem or a big problem. So a bit of prompting there, but also architecture-wise. Because sometimes, depending on what we want a reasoning model, we don't want a reasoning model. That's
And
where I would start.
I think a cool thing is like when you build these kind of systems, for more complex cases, especially if you're interacting with a customer, you end up with multiple agents, right? Like one agent is dedicated to doing one thing, another agent is dedicated to do another thing, and they have different tools for that. And for these agents, you could be using not only different LLMs, but even the same LLM. Let's say you're using Gemini 2.5 Pro. We mentioned it a lot. It's like one of the top ones at the moment. You could set their thinking budget. So you could basically disable their reasoning so you could have faster responses and lower latency. Of course, it's not reasoning, so it's not coming up with super complex plans or trying to solve your problem per se, but it can answer really, really fast. And for some cases, that's all you need. Like if you're trying to find some information, if you're trying just to find structure, some data. Like for example, Bennett said at the beginning when he was talking with the customer support about the tire, he sent everything right away because he knew that's going to be useful information. But then again, the human operative still asked him the same questions and the same information. Like the initial agent could be just getting that information, and if he sees that first message already has a few things, if the customer is logged in, they already know the name of the customer and some other data. Like those agents can be super fast and basically cheaper because you're not spending more time on and money on tokens. And you could have these like multiple agent systems, each one, let's say, really efficient at what they do. But yeah, like besides all that AI engineering, there's also like the cloud. And Bene, maybe it's just me, you can disagree, as you always do, but there is no specific cloud that's best for this. It's basically whatever is the customer is already using, like whatever the company is using, can be used to build AI. Maybe not the
Exactly.
inference, but the rest of it, I think it's like it's normal software engineering. So you can just have database, a few servers, like you connect everything like a private network, so everything's safe. But if the customer, if the company already has a cloud, you can use that cloud to build AI. But maybe not the inference.
briefly to jump in. I mean, usually the client setups, they already have one. If you don't have one, just for the audience, maybe for a non-technical person, there is like a few of the usual suspects. Cloud meaning it's just not running basically in your enterprise environment, kind of. You can think it like that. It's running on some other servers outside. And I think I just put it on the screen here as well. I just came across this Azure AI architecture a diagram to basically be setting up AI agents. You don't have to do it that complex, but it's certainly one of the gateways that will enable you to actually be delivering such AI agents in a cloud environment. Azure being one of them by Microsoft. Google has a great setup as well, especially with the Gemini models. They're coming from Google Alphabet, and then AWS. So probably one of the three of these you would want to opt to. For example, if you're an AI agency owner and maybe even as a SaaS entrepreneur, you can be deploying on these three clouds. Bene, maybe back to you. Sorry for just clarifying what the cloud setup is actually all about.
That's what I was going to mention, because people, again, think AI part is easy. Of course, it's just 5%. Everything in the back end to work, to integrate, we need to set up, and it's software engineering. From the cloud setup, from the integrations, the connections, the security, because of course you're a company, you're worried about the data that I'm sending, the customer is sending, where you're storing the data, where you're storing the conversations, if you need to trace some issues, and then if you want also to transfer this information, if it's a more complex case for the person who's going to solve, for the human agent, AI won't do that. And right now, if you do a prompting for AI even to build that, it will, but it won't be great solution. It's not going to be completely safe, or of course the software engineer from human won't also, but it will be way better than a solution built by AI. And you need experts for that.
Yeah, and one thing that I was thinking about is like we have a lot of people are doing vibe coding, which is basically like this coding without actually knowing how to code or knowing very little, and you just ask the LLMs to write the code for you. There's a whole fucking platforms, a whole IDEs to actually help you with this. Having these kinds of projects that are like 95% or 90% like software engineering plus this AI component on top of it, a really like ironic aspect of this is that you can use the AI to build the software engineering part, but you cannot use AI to build the AI part. And this is my, I think, honest opinion, because the AI part, these LLMs are so new. There are not that many examples online, and so the LLMs are not good at building software for LLMs, but they are good at everything else. So they can set up like what cloud you want, what kind of services you should use, because those services have been the same for the last 5-10 years. Like maybe there's some updates, but it's mostly the same architecture that we've been using. But then the AI part, I think it's going to be coming from an expert, because it is supposed to be based on the most recent stuff, stable and production ready, but still most recent stuff possible. And so the LLM won't have access to that, or will have very little access to that. Bene, so maybe do you think you agree?
I do agree, and okay. we do need to. That's for now our edge. There's a little joke, but yeah, I do agree with that part. Cyril, you wanted to add something on top?
Maybe just another summary of a summary. I don't know. So before you tune the prompts, you have to build the foundation. Kind of. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's kind of the backbone ready first. So think about pretty much all the regular real-world software engineering components as well. Like you need probably identity management for if you have any documents. Ben, I mentioned before, some companies say don't have that ready maybe. So, but if you do have document filtering, you need schema mappings. You have most likely database. Humans in the loop are still probably most likely wished in many, many use cases. So you need to have human in the loop escalation. You need to think of how you structure. Once again, a human professional could be a customer support agent, or in the case of Ben, maybe even a technician, how you loop these individuals into the architecture as well. And then maybe infrastructure. We mentioned that before in the cloud setup that scales across the vector databases. That's basically where the ideas, aka the documents and the knowledge is stored. Maybe you even have SQL databases. Just the old world of databases is usually SQL. The new world with AI, vector database. So you maybe need to orchestrate these both as well, and they need to be scalable, because maybe in Ben's case, there's only one individual that has a flat tire, but across the company, there's maybe hundreds or thousands at the same time. So I need to take care of that as well. At the end of the day, these models are usually called via APIs, and they're not being locally hosted many times. So you need to consider these API calls. Fast API, gentlemen, you feel free to disagree, but it could be one gateway of how you connect these. You need access control. That's another maybe element. And Joao is usually a big proponent of observability, fallback routing, and data traceability. So you need to take care of that as well. So these are all kind of the menu points you probably have to build in the foundation. Once again, before you even start thinking which LLM, Claude 4, ChatGPT 4.1, or whatever else you're actually using. Did I miss something on the foundation level in this?
No, it was awesome to it was awesome to see you summarize and saying all that stuff. Great.
So maybe, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think this is just where you basically be saying, Joao and Benny as well, like the actual specialty knowledge becomes only a part when you have the foundation ready, but it's the critical one that's actually making this thing work. Because again, it's not old school software engineering, it's these new AI components, and then you can go into prompting. Again, using even connectors, LangChain, agent orchestration, and so on and so forth. So I hopefully, in this brief 20-minute segment, we were able to deep dive a little bit into a real-world solution, actually based on the problem Ben is facing. Where was the breakdown? Was it somewhere in the middle of Brazil? I actually didn't.
Like basically it was, the state of Goiás, and it was going to Caldas Novas, like it was in the middle of nowhere, on the roads.
Okay. Maybe let's put the location on the screen here, because I don't know where this is. Somewhere in Brazil, but yeah, good that you're back online.
Imagining somewhere green.
Exactly. I mean, Brazil is flourishingly beautiful and green in many areas. Gentlemen, let's maybe move to the next stage and next kind of topics that we prepared today. New models, especially, and I again struggled a little bit pronouncing it, but CHEPA 2, right? So this video/real-world understanding model released by Meta, the high-level pitch for the audience. This is a model where it's aimed to be understanding real-world physics. And again, it's maybe the first, I would say, great application would be probably in the realm of robotics. So that there is, like, again, put it on the screen here. There's many videos floating around the internet that these robots can reach with apparently 100% accuracy. They can grasp certain objects, and we can maybe deep dive which ones. High level, you think about making dishes and stuff like that, but it has a 45% reliability score. It used to be 8% just some few months ago, so it's a 5-fold improvement there. And pick and place. So these are basically the high-level robotic capabilities of this new model if it's deployed in a physical robot. But maybe that's the high-level pitch. Cool stuff. We were talking before the pod, but what do you guys think about that?
I do have something to add. Remember a couple of episodes, and even before we started with this whole journey on the podcast world, I was telling you and pushing, vision is the next big thing. And we are seeing it now, because right now vision is reaching a point that we can start actually putting robots and they can accurately pick, and now it's more of a hardware and robotics thing, not much more of the interpretation and handling the image, the vision input. Yeah, and things are speeding up so fast, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, especially it's just the latest benchmark was in October 2024, I believe, and every benchmark they basically came out with is 5-fold or 4-fold better than just a few months ago.
Cyril's getting really excited because the audience doesn't know, but Cyril's big goal is to have robots for everything. Like, we just focus on the agents, these AI agents on the cloud, but Cyril wants them on the ground alongside him to help him with his basic tasks. I think one of the things he really doesn't want to do is do dishes and do laundry. And so
the dishes, again, the folding, preparation, like just all the cumbersome tasks that us humans spend. I don't know, how many hours did you say, Joao? Probably an hour a day? I don't know. But doing in generally?
And
Me and João, me and João already entered that part of the world a bit because we do have some robotic aspect, and I think right now even the latest models probably already integrating AI with
Yeah.
so it's Roborock cleaning robots to clean the house. They're like awesome, and they already save up so much time. And of course, we are messing up with Cyril because me and João, we would love to have a robot to do the dishes, the laundry, maybe even
I think
some
everyone
cooking
would love
sometimes.
that. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just such a painstaking task of doing every time. But to have like a bit of context for the audience, especially non-technical people, this model, like VGP2, second one of its kind from Meta, it's not a consumer model the way LLMs are. So it's not something you use on a chatbot, not something you use directly, but it's something for researchers and for companies to build AI with. Like it works basically as a tool to make AI understand the world, understand vision. So we can understand images, can understand video, especially video. You will see, like as a consumer, you will not see the VGP2 model directly, but you will see a lot of new robots or a lot of the existing robots be better with vision. So I think Cyril was saying like you have like these demos like already folding laundry, and again demos this the initial thing, but as it kind of get better, you will see like a lot of more integrations with the real world. And maybe new appliances for your house or new appliances for your office or for your factories that are going to be a whole lot cheaper, because usually programming these kind of robots in factories are really expensive, because you need dedicated software programmers just to dedicate and code these machines in very specific actions. So a whole new world of things might be coming. And I think, Cyril, you saw the Apple, like the new UI from Apple, right?
Yeah, the what was it called again? The glass.
The liquid glass.
Liquid
Yeah.
glass, exactly. Liquid glass.
And like we've talked about it, and Apple has been lagging behind in terms of AI capabilities. So Meta, the guys behind Facebook, like releasing these kinds of models, they're one of the biggest names in open source LLMs. Like they're really big in the market. Google also like having their best LLM out there already like up and running. And I think most major companies are going hard on it. Microsoft has a really big alliance with OpenAI, like the guys behind ChatGPT. And Apple has, well, they have the iPhone, but it's not really AI, is it? And so you probably have seen like this paper from Apple saying, hey, reasoning models don't actually reason. They've been trying to de-hype the LLM and the AI world. Yeah. And because they've been lagging behind, and I think they're just trying to buy time. However, they know things are going to go into the AI world, and they know, I think they have a very, very big bet in these video capabilities. And so this new UI that they launched, I was looking at it, and they go really hard on the transparency and like fluidity of things. So some icons are actually harder to see. And I saw a lot of posts online, people like criticizing it, saying, hey, this is like not Apple, this is making interaction worse. Until I saw a hot take that I was quite fond of it. Not because it sounded plausible, it did, but most for the possibilities, which is Apple is going hard on this kind of UI that some icons are hard to see because they're trying to teach users how to see icons in the real world. So if you're using some kind of smart glasses, some kind of AR headset where you're seeing the world and you're seeing your widgets, you're seeing your windows and your apps overlaid on top of it, then you need a kind of, let's say, onboarding to know how to interact with that. And this new UI is a step in that direction, where it tries to have multiple layers visible to the user and having the user know how to interact with each one of those layers. So I think even Apple is going hard on this video thing, and we might be seeing more AR glasses from Apple in the near future, and other companies too. Excited about that.
I mean, Meta has Ray-Ban collaboration, right? So they're like pushing that front. Android has these types of glasses, and Apple again is rumored to be launching them, I think, next year. So it's actually a pretty good inference, Joao, based on, I didn't think much about this liquid glass and this maybe lacking of like if it's transparent or not. I just thought it looks pretty cool. but yeah, if you then have an overlay just for the audience to be explaining maybe in other words, you would have glasses like I'm wearing, and these like tiny icons, they're now more basically be framed in the real world, you don't want them to basically be hindering your vision. So yes, maybe this transparency helps to be having again more fluidity of interacting with them in the real world. Bene, you wanted to add something on top here?
No, I just wanted to, from all the companies, I think again, at least Google has all the foundation for this, because they already experimented with these AR glasses before, didn't go well because the world wasn't ready as well. I don't know if you guys recall, there was like people hitting other people and being very aggressive with people who were wearing glasses, these AI glasses. But now I think the world is a bit more ready. And of course, we have all the privacy stuff, but I think we will get to a point that we need to accept that the moment we step out of the house, there's no privacy.
Probably
Yeah, I mean,
less,
there are gonna
less
be
and
cameras
less, yeah.
everywhere. I've seen videos of places like, is someone like, are you allowed to actually film there? And then you see the reflection of the cameraman, and there's no camera, just a guy wearing glasses or a girl wearing glasses, and you get to understand. Oh, so that's how they're filming things.
I
Okay.
do have something to say, because like I think last week I told you guys I was in Rio, and there was I went to the favela. So basically I went to, so basically you rent you pay a guy, so you go on the bike and you go all the way up. Can I continue this story?
I think so. I mean, depending on how much criminal charges you want to bring against you. But
So basically, there on some parts, if you want to know what happened, you need to go there. Basically, some parts they allowed you to film, but some parts they were like, no, these parts you need to hide the phone. You can't, and also even the glasses, you can't wear glasses, because it happens sometimes that people wearing glasses were filming and then they were advertising, and we don't want that.
at the end of the day, this is like a tourist attraction, but people, many hundreds of thousands,
Yes.
if not millions, they actually live like this is their living environment. So I think it's like somebody would come to my house and film. I mean, I would also not, or come.
It wasn't because of that.
Okay.
It wasn't because of that. But okay.
I think there's also some crime happening on the streets sometimes.
I was inferring the positive notions of non-criminal
No,
activity.
it wasn't because of that. But even like the glasses, I couldn't even put the glasses normally as I put on the shirt. I had to put it on the inside or something, because they were worried about being filmed. So privacy stuff.
I mean, it's probably even in today's world with the smartphones, at least you see it now. But yeah, certainly they must have some like light or something that's activated when they're filming. Otherwise, I mean, come on. You
have those small small cameras that you can put somewhere in the hotel room, and it's hard to detect.
I mean, that's true. It's certainly privacy-wise. I think maybe with like the liquidity of the icons, also the liquidity or the fluidity of privacy is probably getting less and less with a world that's constantly being filmed all the time. I also saw the Figure 2 robot. I mean, similarly on that fashion, basically be working in a warehouse. Maybe I can put that on the screen here as well. It's a cool GIF or video to quickly watch. I mean, these models, just at the high level, again, these are real-world vision models. They're actually seeing and understanding the world. So far, they had the constraint that they don't really fully understand maybe the physics of how certain elements roll, how certain packages are evolving and folding and all that. But now with the new capabilities, with the new architectures coming out in 2025, maybe 2026, these models and then the robots are enabled to understand, like we basically were taught how to understand the world when we were children. So that's maybe the very high level wrap up of why all these elements are coming now. Of course, in the robotic world, we need mass production. So Tesla is really maybe on the forefront, all the car manufacturers are. And then from a software perspective, we need, again, models that are reasoning and understanding the real world like we humans do every single day. Gentlemen, any other topics before we wrap up today?
I have a small note, because I've been seeing this question pop up a lot, and usually the answer is the same. You've seen the robots, and like this Figure 2 from Figure AI is kind of humanoid robot, right? Like it looks kind of like a human. They don't add a nose or anything to it, but it has a head and shoulders and arms. People are saying, why do they insist on making these robots look like humans? That's just, to some people, kind of weird, because it enters that like Black Mirror kind of reality where that uncanny valley where things look like humans but they're not actually humans. And answer to that is usually because our videos are mostly with humans. So our training data has humans. And so for the robots to be as close as possible to the video, to the training data, they just make these robots already shaped like the humans in the videos. So there's a correlation, and it's easier to train them. Because you could very easily make a robot with 4 or 5 arms, no head. You could have like the cameras inside the arms, and it'd be a very different kind of robot. But then again, that needs different training, different programming, and so you will be seeing a lot of humanoid robots. I think it also happens that we like to see humanoid-shaped things instead of just a thing with 5 arms. Personally, I think a robot with 5 arms would be a bit scarier than a humanoid-looking one.
But at the end of the day,
Matrix-wise.
we biologically, we are fine-tuned since billions of years to be looking like this and then interacting with the real world. And also the processes we have in warehouses, in, let's call it the cuisines, the kitchens and all that will be robots deployed into, they are made for human shapes probably. So that's why I
so
believe
you don't have
they're
to adapt
making
the environment. Yeah.
Exactly. They don't, not yet, but maybe in a V2 world with robots, they might be differently shaped. I think now with a human-driven world, not yet. Yep, Bene. Last word.
It's similar
You've got
to
the last word on this.
It's similar to what Tesla was doing. They say, even Elon said sometime, if we change the infrastructure of roads, it would be so much faster and easier to implement a self-driven car. But it's not, so we need to adapt. And that's what we're doing in the end. We're adapting.
So it's the transition period to maybe then optimizing the robots again and then also the infrastructure, but you can't probably do both vectors of change at the same time.
Exactly.
Great. Gentlemen, that was a good episode. Thank you for joining. For the audience, we do these episodes every single week. We try to mix the latest news, mostly models, mostly new implementations like robots, but also some timeless content of how you can actually be building agentic systems. Today, we talked a little bit about agentic architectures. I will put the link into the description of Azure, AWS, and Google, some templates on n8n. You can basically be building that stuff also without the code. And yeah, that's that. Episode 14 in the making, episode 15 already in research. And we see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.
See ya.